live.
And we are live. Just gonna. Honestly, I'm tired of spaces. I think one thing I've thought of doing is trying to figure out. I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of spaces, but really for us, the purpose is being on, being where everybody is. But honestly, one thing I've thought about doing is finding a way to just like OBS record the YouTube and like live stream it into a space rather than like actually being on the space.
Gotcha.
But I don't know. We'll see, especially for Chain Chatter, because having guests, I mean, like, you know how annoying it is to join both. Imagine now that like you have a guest join and like I've got to teach them how to do both.
Yeah, it's super annoying.
Yeah, it's a total pain in the ass. So
I remember using OBS. OBS is solid software. I remember using it when I did the MSP radio show.
Yeah, I still use it a lot. So
I haven't used it since. It's funny. I stepped away from my quote unquote show. Originally, I said temporarily, and it's been probably 4 years, which makes sense. It was just another one of those things I was doing, and I'm like, what am I really getting?
What value are you getting?
Like, I'm getting zero value. I'm basically just donating my time per the usual.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
I guess I met a handful of people and got involved in things, but
yeah, I mean, it's it's good when you're starting out, and I mean, I'm sure you thought of it as and it probably led to you getting a lot more attention on your blog posts at the time. So at the time, it made a lot of sense, and
yeah,
kind of evolve. A lot of people stay the same, but evolving is very important. I'll just remind everyone since we're live, but we are live on everywhere except for X Spaces right now because I started like 3 different spaces and they just wouldn't work. So we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, X Live video, but not Spaces. So I am going to embed the YouTube link into the Threadcast right now so you can go there. I see a bunch of you guys are dropping the links too. So yeah,
perfect.
We'll just go this route. Much easier for us.
It'll be a shorty, but it'll be a goodie. And
everyone
can get hyped for tomorrow.
Yeah, we will do a little bit of a shorter AMA today because we still have the the launch event tomorrow, which I know you guys have a lot of questions about. I will answer as many questions as I can without giving away all the details because the launch is meant to unveil more of these specifics. But for you guys who come, who are loyal and come to the AMAs every week, I'll try to answer pretty much everything, even if it gives away some of the details. So feel free to ask whatever questions you want, and I'll answer them. I think it's cool to have like a little day before, little day before alpha for you guys. And I see that Leo's already going up, even though the rest of the market's down. We're up like 15% on the week, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, well, swimming against the current.
I'm just going to put out these announcements. Mitch, you want to give a quick market, what's happening with Bitcoin? I know you're doing everything with the pools and buying a little bit, but
I mean,
what's going on with the markets?
We're just chopping is what's happening. Chop suey. Yeah, I mean, obviously Bitcoin had pulled back and then, made another push towards all-time highs. Didn't quite get there. And then, looked like, it looked like it was kind of doing a little turnaround, put in a, like a higher low. We had a reversal candle on Friday, and based on the chart, looked like we were pushing higher, and we did yesterday. I mean, it pumped up to 109, but today is red. So the reality of it is all that action is kind of no action at all. So Bitcoin's kind of chilling. I mean, if you really look at it, it's basically in a range for the last, really since May. I mean, yeah, it poked and made a new all-time high, but it's not like it broke out like crazy. So since that new high, we've basically been going sideways and tested those May lows, but held them. So it just looks like price is just consolidating, doing its thing. So it's just interesting that it's doing it like so close to the previous all-time highs. Like the high that we got back in January. It's like we're dancing right around that price, like just above it, a little bit below it. So usually when you break out to a new high, you'll see price establish like a higher range. So it really hasn't happened. So it is interesting, but yep, bulls and bears are fighting.
Yeah, they're fighting for sure. We've obviously got all these Middle East conflicts that people are a little concerned about. So, um, you know,
Feels like all the more reason to be in Bitcoin.
yeah, it
Like
does. I mean, that's
safety.
the thing, right? Yeah, like the volatile speculative assets, or the risk on assets as people call them,
Yep.
tend to have like a flight risk, or when these things happen. But then over time, I think they absorb that value back. Once people stop freaking out. So I think it's important to just remember what you're in and why you're in it. To be honest, in terms of investments, if you bought something, I love that I think it's a Warren Buffett quote. If you won't hold it for 10 minutes, or if you won't hold it for 10 years, don't hold it for 10 minutes.
Interesting.
And yeah, and I'm pretty sure it's a Warren Buffett quote. And I tend to just really heavily believe in that. So I'm just very focused on the long-term stuff. And right now, especially Leo, which we can dive into. The rest of the market's kind of crumbling down, but I saw Ahmad Manga post a screenshot and said, "I'm happy about this." And it's a screenshot of his Leo balance in his Hive Engine wallet. And Leo's up 4.8%, despite the rest of the market being down like 10%. So yeah, I'm also happy to see a little bit of that. I think, right now it's obviously speculation because none of the Leo 2.0 stuff is live yet. That being said, I do think that, we've had kind of outdated tokenomics. I posted a couple things on X this morning and reposted, someone who's really famous in the space for evaluating tokenomics of different projects. And he was talking about, real revenue. And I don't know, you guys have probably seen the Hype token and Hyperliquid's success, and kind of this real revenue narrative that's coming to altcoins. So, I've been obviously pretty focused on that, and that's kind of where Leo 2.0 puts us, which is that we're turning off inflation. The headlines are, we're turning off inflation, and 100% of the revenue from Leo Dex is going to be given to the Arbitrum staking contract and split to anybody who's staking Leo in the Arbitrum staking contract on Leo Dex. So you'll be able to do all this on Leo Dex, but with Leo 2.0, we're getting rid of inflation, and we're transitioning to a real revenue economy around Leo Dex. So we're all kind of huddling around Leo Dex and saying, you know what, this is our ticket to generating real revenue for the ecosystem, for the Leo ecosystem, and 100% of that is going to go to all the token holders. So, it makes me really excited about the future of Leo, and obviously seeing the volumes on Leo Dex has been very helpful. So, this month we're on pace to do about $2 million in trading volume on Leo Dex, which is really good. Obviously, prior to like April, we were doing basically $0 per month. Because we only had Maya. Now we've got Thorchain and Chainflip and Maya. And then we're also working on some other protocols and aggregators that I'll talk about later. But, we're going to integrate a bunch of different aggregators, and we'll just keep expanding Leo Dex in terms of features and keep making it better. We rolled out, if you guys saw that blog post I'll link it to you. But I put out a blog post a few days ago talking about some of the more recent changes, the latest update that went out last Friday. So this blog post is from 4 days ago. I'll link it. I just linked it in the Threadcast. So, we did like 20 different bug fixes and a couple different features that got added. So added all that stuff, and LeoDex is in a really good place. We pushed a couple more bug fixes in the last few days. So we've been getting some good feedback from people on X. So keep, if you're one of those people giving us feedback, keep it coming. We really need the feedback. I'm a huge advocate of the feedback loop. I think that's how we build a really great product for you guys is, if you use the product and tell us, what is good, what is bad, what's not working, what do you wish was better? That feedback loop is how we develop, and it's how we refine. So, I'm a big build, release, iterate. We build stuff quickly, we release it quickly, and then we iterate even more quickly when you guys give us feedback on what we've released. So, keep that feedback rolling in so we can just keep making the product as good as possible, and we'll have the best Leo decks that we can have. And that's really the point of doing everything we're doing. So yeah, just keep the feedback coming because it means a lot. That's my PSA for the day. I also see when Leo AI soon. Leo AI is already here. So we have different variants of Leo AI that are, kind of out there on InLeo, and you guys have seen some of those. And then we've also got, the main model. It's, we've got the two differences are we've got the agents and we've got the the model that we're training. So, the model is being trained on all the data on InLeo, and the agents are all over the place, and you're just going to see more agents as we scale it up. So yeah, just keep your eyes peeled for the increase in agents, and we're headed towards an agentic future. I think that's pretty obvious to pretty much everybody. So agents are going to be a mainstay on InLeo, and one of the ways that we absorb economic value into the Leo token through the InLeo platform is going to be through agents. We're already doing it, and you're going to see that scale up. So basically, what's happening is some of these agents are active on InLeo, and then you guys can vote them. And they're not only adding value to conversations, they're also they're also adding data to Leo AI. So very important to do both. And the more that you guys interact with them and upvote them, the more economic value they can bring in. Ahmad Manga said, if my understanding is correct, InLeo revenue will be used to pay InLeo users, and LeoDex revenue is going to be used to pay LeoDex users. Do they not overlap? What are the day-to-day sources for revenue for both? So yeah, so I would look at Leo 2.0 in with two things in mind. InLeo and LeoDex are very synergistic, and they're connected by the Leo token. But that being said, the revenue sources are separate. So when you earn on InLeo, you're earning from the InLeo based revenue buybacks. So for example, just to take a step back and look at the bird's eye view. So the reward pool right now is driven by inflation. That's Leo 1.0. We've had this model for the last 6 years since InLeo launched. And the new model, Leo 2.0, is we're turning off inflation, so there's going to be 0 block rewards. And instead of block rewards, will be the new rewards pool is called the SERP, is the acronym, but it stands for System Income Rewards Pool. So instead of an inflationary rewards pool paying you guys for using InLeo, you will get paid from System Income Rewards Pool, which is funded entirely by buybacks. And the way you guys earn does not change. So, the stipulation I keep putting out in front of all this stuff is as an InLeo user, the change from 1.0 to 2.0 is almost unrecognizable. You're still curating, you're still creating content, you're still earning Hive, HBD, and Leo for using InLeo. Everything remains the same in terms of how you earn. It's what you earn that changes. So instead of earning, or a better word might be where you earn from. So right now it's inflation, and soon it's going to be from buybacks. So, that means that you're going to be earning less Leo tokens, in terms of raw tokens. But the value of what you're earning is likely to be a lot higher because one, there's no more inflation, and two, there's a permanent buyer because in order to fund the rewards pool, any system income generated by InLeo has to buy the Leo token and then put it in the rewards pool. And then, say, for example, half of what gets earned by the end users is sold. That's still 50% of what's being bought is just pure buy pressure. So, you essentially have 100% of revenue buying. So that's buy pressure. But then whatever ends up getting sold, that's not actually net sell pressure. It's still net buy pressure. So it's kind of an interesting economic flow to that. And I think it'll be pretty interesting to see how that evolves over time. And then I'm just looking for your question again to answer the second part of it. Your question. Oh, here we go. So yeah, InLeo revenue is used to pay creators and users, curators on InLeo. And then LeoDex revenue doesn't actually pay LeoDex users. It pays to the Arbitrum staking contract, which is where you'll be able to stake Leo for SLeo, aka staked Leo. And any staked Leo on Arbitrum will have a few different utilities on LeoDex. So, for example, like lower trading fees, higher referral rewards, and perhaps premium features in the future, and some other things that we decide to add. And then you'll obviously earn daily USDC payouts. So every day, basically, USDC will get deposited into the Arbitrum staking contract from the affiliate revenue on LeoDex, and that gets split to anybody proportionally staked in the Leo staking contract on Arbitrum. So, for example, if there's 10 million Leo staked in the Arbitrum staking contract, and let's just say 100,000 USDC a month is deposited into that contract, that would be 100,000 USDC split to all 10 million Leos that are essentially staked in there. So if you have a million Leo, you essentially have 10% of the total staked amount, which means that you get 10% of that 100K. So you get 10,000 USDC per month. And by the way, these numbers, like, it might sound a little crazy, like, oh, you stake a million Leo and you're gonna make $10,000 a month. A million Leo right now is only $20,000. So you make 50% return per month on your Leo. So that might sound a little crazy. Bear in mind, the current trajectory is that we'll do $10,000 per month in trading volume on LeoDex, $10,000 per month in revenue on the trading volume, because the trading volume is about 2 million this month. So our, the LeoDex take from the 2 million is about $10,000. So you guys probably recall my target is 4.4 million in the near term is what I'm trying to get to for LeoDex volume. So that would be about $20,000 a month. And the $100,000 a month, there's several apps on Thorchain that are making $100,000 a week. So these are not like that crazy of numbers to think about. And by the way, LeoDex is the only platform that will give 100% of the revenue back to the token holders. So there's no like team take. There's nothing. It's as much volume as LeoDex does and generates affiliate revenue from. 100% of that flows back to Leo token holders. So if we can do 100,000 a month in affiliate revenue, that's 100,000 a month that goes to anyone staking Leo on Arbitrum. So it's pretty bullish. Like, obviously you're going to have to see, what happens once all this is live. And obviously the key indicator is, does LeoDex volume grow? Like, if LeoDex volume is 0, then this is not going to be attractive at all. Why would anyone buy Leo and stake it? You'll get some extra utilities and features, but at the end of the day, like, the lead indicator, the KPI, is the LeoDex volume. So we need the volume to grow. So it's very important. And then anyone staking Leo, because I know this is a big question, on InLeo, again, nothing changes. So if you're staking Leo on InLeo, you're still curating and you're still earning Leo. The answer to what's different in 2.0 is that what you're earning is a little bit different. So you're not earning from inflation, you're earning from buybacks only. So you may earn less Leo tokens, but the US dollar value of what you're earning should be a lot higher. Ideally in a Leo 2.0 world, Leo will be worth significantly more than it is today.
That's the dream.
This is the dream. Went on to just ask, will Leo Bridge be upgraded alongside Leo 2.0? So the change coming to Leo Bridge, which is what allows you to go between Arbitrum, BSC, Polygon, and Hive. The only change happening there is that right now the bridge revenue essentially, so every time someone uses the bridge, a 1 to 5%, it's a variable fee depending on the market dynamics. A 1 to 5% fee, let's just say 2%, somewhere right in the middle. A 2% fee is charged every time you go through the bridge. And right now, the bridge actually subsidizes Leo.voter payouts. So the delegators of high power to Leo.voter get subsidized by this bridge revenue. In Leo 2.0, the bridge revenue is a burn. So every time someone uses a bridge to change from Leo on Arbitrum to Leo on Hive, or vice versa, or BSC or Polygon or whatever, that fee gets burned. So now that we have zero inflation, that means that Leo is deflationary by default. So you have no inflation, and if you have if one Leo gets burned per month, you could call it deflationary. So being deflationary on its own is not going to make your token go up. But the goal there is that the majority of people bridging are arbitrageurs. I mean, there's obviously users that bridge as well, and there's different use cases between when you would bridge and when you wouldn't. You're paying that small fee, and I like to call it passing go. Every time you pass go, you pay a small fee. So every time you pass go in our little game of Monopoly, that means that you're crossing one of the bridges. You are paying, that 2%, call it fee, and it's that Leo gets burned. So if you bridge, 100,000 Leo, that means that 2,000 of that 100,000 will get burned. So now that Leo will have a capped supply with no inflation ever. By the way, when 2.0 goes live, the ability to mint Leo gets destroyed, and the final, so whatever the supply is on the day of 2.0, it can never be higher. It's physically impossible. We'd have to release a whole new token in order to go, change anything beyond that. So essentially anything that gets burned is permanently removed from the supply. It can never be touched again. So if 100,000 Leo gets bridged, between all the bridges, let's just say per month, that's 2,000 Leo per month that gets permanently removed from the supply and can never come back. So that's just going to be kind of a natural effect in the background. I don't expect it to have any immediate impacts, but I do think that over time, what you're doing is reducing the Leo supply out there, which should make it. If you have an asset with growing demand and a dwindling supply, the price, basic economics, the price is going to go up. So the real key there. But if you have an asset, that being said, if you have an asset where there's no demand and you're reducing the supply, you're still you're multiplying by zero. The price is not going to go up. So demand is the key. That's why, like, a lot of these platforms, they like advertise how they're deflationary and their token goes to basically worthless. It's and I think that's a hard lesson to learn. But once you learn it, you understand tokenomics a lot better. That burning by itself doesn't actually do anything. You could just mint tokens and burn them. What are you accomplishing with that, right? So the key is, build a growing demand and then create more scarcity while you're growing that demand. So the bridges are creating scarcity and Leodex is creating demand, is the way I would look at it. Abdul said, what time is the Leo 2.0 launch tomorrow? The unveil event is at noon Eastern tomorrow. So 23 hours from now. Ahmad Manga, the announcement about when the staking rewards will start will happen during the unveil tomorrow. And there is also a timer on Leodex. This is in beta right now, so you guys can't see it, but I'll share a screenshot. There's a timer of the Leo 2.0, the launch. So most of the whens I will not answer related to Leo 2.0. But if you have questions about what related to it, I will answer those.
What are you talking about? You have an answer to all those. It's called soon.
Soon. Absolutely. I always have a soon.
Whens and soons.
Whens and soons. I built a life on whens and soons.
Right. 23 hours. Yep. The text. Yep. No inflation ever. That's right. No inflation.
Yeah, no more inflation, and the bridges create systematic burning. Every time someone passes go. I don't know how much that's going to be. It just depends on volume. Honestly, like market volatility will, obviously create a lot more bridge activity. So, the more volatile the market is, the more that people are trading Leo, the more that's going to get burned. I could foresee, a lot of activity, especially with the way that the Maya pool works with streaming swaps. It creates a lot of arbitrage opportunity because you can buy like, a million Leo on Maya. But the thing is, it's going to stream the swap over a very long period of time because there's not that much Leo liquidity out there. So you can do this huge swap on Maya, stream it, and then essentially what needs to happen is people need to buy Leo on other exchanges like Pancake Swap, or Sushi Swap, or B Swap on Hive, and they need to buy the Leo there. Then they need to bridge it over to Arbitrum, and then they need to swap it on Leo Dex through the Maya pool, and create that arbitrage so that your order keeps getting filled. That big streaming swap. So these streaming swaps, I think, will create a lot more arbitrage volume. We've seen a lot more movement on the Arbitrum Leo bridge than most other bridges, and I think for that reason is a big one. Data stat: this move would save Leo from centralized decisions of Hive. Without getting too much into the politics of it, I do feel like our growth has been limited in terms of we're on a smaller blockchain, and so this is another core change with Leo 2.0. Is that Leo is migrating from Hive to Arbitrum. So the token itself natively lives on Arbitrum in Leo 2.0. And the Leo that's on Hive is called HE Leo, which is a wrapped version of Leo. So much like how you have B Leo, which is a wrapped version of Leo on BSC, HE Leo is what you guys all hold on Hive right now. And that is just another wrapped form of Leo. If you want native Leo, it's on Arbitrum. So that is a key part of the 2.0 change. And I think it unlocks a lot of potential for Leo that has been muted because, we've been a Hive engine-based token, which is not very well known and doesn't have the ability to connect to centralized exchanges. So we are, with this 2.0 launch, the native version of Leo is Arbitrum Leo. So, and it's just called Leo. But if you want to call it Leo on Arbitrum, you can, just for clarity. But it is the native Leo now with Leo 2.0. So I personally expect the majority of Leo to make its way to Arbitrum over time. But that will have to be seen with Leo Dex volumes, right? Like if Leo Dex volumes keep growing, and obviously I'm spending all my time focused on that, if Leo Dex volumes keep growing, the yield for staking Leo on Arbitrum to earn the USDC from Leo Dex volume continues to increase. So as that yield goes up, people are gonna be like, well, I can unstake my Leo on Hive, move it to Arbitrum, and make 30% APR versus like 2% APR on Hive. You'd much rather do that. So,
Wow, I have just attempted to help your prediction and wrapped 1,000 Leo into a Leo. We shall see how long it takes to hit my wallet.
You just
live wrapping. Yeah, I'm assuming it's still the same process, right? WLeo.io, go to a Leo, put in your Arbitrum address, put in the amount of Leo you want to transfer, and then I use keychain. So keychain pop up, hit OK, and then go to my Leo Dex wallet and wait for the Leo to arrive. Live wrapping.
I see a question from someone who can name themselves if they want to. Should you wrap your Leo to a Leo today, or does it not matter? It technically it doesn't matter. You can wrap today, you can wrap later. Nothing really changes on that front. So wrap whenever you want.
It's all about when you feel the beat and you feel the flow, and you can start rapping your rhymes. Oh wait, hold on, this is the wrong call. We're talking about crypto
and Leo.
Good old rapping. Well, so obviously, anyone that decides that they want to go the A Leo route, aka Leo, and stake, that's the whole point, right? Because there's no point of sending your Leo to the Arbitrum type, because without staking, you don't earn any yield. It's just like if you don't have your Leo staked on in Leo, like if you don't have it powered up, you're not earning any yield.
Yeah, you want to keep it staked. If you're going to hold it, you're going to want to keep it staked.
So I assume tomorrow on the launch, there will be some kind of talk and or even tutorial on how one stakes their A Leo on Leo Dex.
Yeah, tomorrow's unveil event will answer a lot of questions. And if you want kind of a insider perspective on it, it's going to look a lot like the TCY page for staking TCY. So it's very simple. You literally enter how much you want to. If you guys, I'll even drop a screenshot for you guys. But if you guys know how we built the TCY page, I mean, it's literally like, if you look in the bottom right of this screenshot I just posted, you can see where it says stake, unstake, and rewards. So we built this really simple flow for TCY, and a lot of this stuff is modeled based on TCY. I pulled a lot of inspiration from it because I think it is like a genius stroke in tokenomics. That create long-term value as long as the base protocol is growing. Like same thing for TCY. Like if Thorchain volume isn't growing, then TCY is not going to do well. If it is growing, it has this setup to perform really well. We're doing the same thing with Leo. Like I'm not saying that Leo is going to be worth $1 when you wake up on, when 2.0 goes live, suddenly Leo is worth $1. What I am saying is right now we have a setup that doesn't give way to Leo performing well, no matter what we do. Like no matter how well Leo Dex does, no matter how well in Leo does, the token keeps going down. The reason is inflation. The reason is the way that the incentives are aligned. They're misaligned. So, once we fix this, we now have a setup for the Leo token where it can perform well. So that being said, it's set up so it can perform well. That's not a guarantee that it does. The reason why it will perform well is when Leo Dex volumes grow. So growing the volumes, very important. Monk Masters has a good question. Will staking work even if the Arbitrum chain is still down for Maya? So I have been talking with Maya that they have a fix, I think, in beta that they've been working on, and they're pretty confident about it. So hopefully that goes live before around the time of 2.0. But yeah, it's the only thing that will be affected is swapping. So obviously it swaps through Maya. So if Maya doesn't have Arbitrum live, then Leo on Arbitrum can't be swapped through Maya. That being said, the staking contract that we've built on Arbitrum is completely separate from Maya. So you can still stake and unstake as much as you want. Also, the bridges are separate from Maya. So technically, if you want to, buy Leo or sell Leo and Maya's down for Arbitrum, you can still bridge to say Polygon and swap, sell, or buy Leo on SushiSwap, and then bridge back and forth as much as you want. So there are still ways to get Leo and swap it. Actually, someone just asked on X, that's from the Thorchain ecosystem. How do I buy Leo if it's if Arbitrum's down on Maya? And then we obviously explain that it's on SushiSwap and other places. So yeah, it's long story short, it won't affect the staking, or the bridging. It only affects swapping through Maya. But I hope to see them fix it soon. I know that they've been working hard on it, and the Maya devs are very talented. But they are kind of one of the first to do anything with Arbitrum in this way. So I know that they've been dealing with some pretty critical issues.
That's always been like kind of the one thing about crypto that is a hang up relative to, Web 2.0. It's just downtime with operations and whatnot, as opposed to, TradFi's kind of internet world where, since it's centralized, things have less downtime. They definitely still have downtime, but just less. In fact, wasn't everyone freaking out yesterday or the day before because I don't know if it was TikTok or something was down for like 4 hours and like the whole world was freaking out.
I mean, I saw X was down recently too.
Yeah,
for like a day.
So it might have been X that was down. But yeah, like the number of times that you have that downtime and the length of it generally is still much better in Web 2.0 than in Web 3.0 and just crypto land on a whole. That's about the only thing when it comes to the cryptoverse that I can say it's still, lacking relative to Web 2.0. But
yeah, I mean, you definitely deal, when you're dealing with bleeding edge technology, it's kind of one of the things that you're going to face. Went on to, okay, got it. So we can transfer Leo to Arbitrum on Leo Dex and stake it, but can't perform any swap since Arbitrum is down on Maya. Yeah. You can still do everything except for swapping through Maya, essentially. Staking isn't live yet. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. We'll also talk more about, the whens. So very clear, timelines for everything. We've got a lot of moving pieces here. The Leo token economy is changing drastically. So I like to keep saying, like the InLeo platform is staying pretty much the same. I mean, you guys know how InLeo works. You got the rewards pool. You've got 50-50 author curation split. When you upvote someone, you get half the reward, and then they get the other half. And the rewards pool is like a daily pool of tokens. And if you own 10% of the Leo power supply, the 10% of the amount of Leo power that's out there, then you dictate 10% of the flow of rewards from that rewards pool. All of that remains the same. It's what is feeding the rewards pool. That is the only thing that's changing on InLeo. And what is feeding the rewards pool now is inflation. In 2.0, it is buybacks. So there's going to be less Leos in that rewards pool, but those Leos are going to be bought Leos. They're not printed Leos. So that makes a big that makes a big difference, to be honest. The primary driver of that revenue is premiums. So growing the number of premiums on InLeo will be how you grow the rewards pool, or at least a very close correlation. Morty asked a good question. What about Hive delegations to Leo.voter? So Leo.voter will, in Leo 1.0, inflation and the bridge subsidy helps pay. Ahmad Maga, I commented when you were doing your swap and I said Arbitrum's still down. Maya says that they're working on a permanent fix and, they don't have a timeline yet, but soon. They're usually pretty quick. I would say probably in the next week or less, hopefully. So yeah, if you want to buy Leo, you're going to have to do it on one of the other SushiSwap or PancakeSwap or BSwap exchanges. Where was I at? For Leo.voter. So right now it's subsidized by inflation and the bridge revenue. That's how Leo.voter delegators get paid. In Leo 2.0, Delegators are actually getting their own rewards pool. So they'll have their own rewards pool of Leo tokens, and that pool will be filled by buybacks from Leo.voter curation rewards. So the rewards earned by the hive power on Leo.voter will buy Leo, put it in the Leo.voter delegator pool, and then the delegators will get paid out every day. So again, very similar to in Leo itself, the actual mechanics of how delegations to Leo.voter happen, that doesn't change. So the only difference is, where does the Leo come from where the delegators are getting paid from? And the answer is it's buybacks, not inflation. So inflation is completely going away, in all forms. There's no more. Once Leo 2.0 launches, that is the final amount of Leo that can ever be created. And then we move to a deflationary model where the bridges slowly burn away the supply of Leo that's out there. So the float gets decreased over time, probably not a lot all at once. It's like over time. You basically imagine a chart, and a couple of you guys suggested that we add a display for the amount of burned Leo and the total supply, and we will add that to Leo Dex.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we'll have a supply, say the supply is 30 million Leo, for example. We'll have like the 30 million current circulating supply, and then next to it, we'll have the amount burned. It'll start at probably, close to zero, and then it'll increase over time. So,
yeah, I guess anyways. Because Task was saying having like an updated token count on Leo Dex and in Leo so people can see what the float is.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. We will have that float counter on Leo Dex. So yeah, you'll be able to track it there, 30 million, and it'll just decrease over time. So that it's going to start at like 30 million, for example, on the day of 2.0, and then every day you check it, it'll be less. It'll just be, maybe it'll be 29,999,000. It'll just keep dropping. So, Monk Masters said, buy premium if you want the in Leo rewards to stay up. Yeah, well, see, again, the incentives around the Leo token have been misaligned for a very long time. We are now aligning everything perfectly. So if you are an in Leo user and you want your rewards pool to be bigger, how do you do that? You got to grow the users on in Leo. You got to get more people to buy premium. You got to increase the amount of creator subscriptions out there. That's how you drive the rewards pool. Another thing that will drive the rewards pool on InLeo, which I put out a poll about, you guys voted, and then we decided to make this update with 2.0. Any beneficiary rewards that are paid to the @Leo Finance account. So, there's a 5% default when you create posts on InLeo. Any of those beneficiary rewards will also buy Leo and put it in the rewards pool. So that is another form of inflows for the rewards pool. So encouraging people who use InLeo to use the beneficiary setting will encourage that rewards pool to grow further. Kind of a way to support the economy, if you want to. And obviously it is a factor we look at when we curate with Leo.voter. So I think a lot of people have figured out that when you use the 5% beneficiary setting, you tend to get more Leo.voter upvotes. So.
Yes, sir. I think Morty's question is no. It will be like nothing changed. Yes, if anything is there anything we have to take care of or change when Leo 2.0 is active, or will it not affect anything? And I'm under the assumption that nothing changes from the end user perspective. Keep doing your thing on in Leo. And then the only thing that's changed is the ability to stake a Leo. Everything else, I assume, is going to be exactly the same, just without inflation.
Yep, exactly.
Sweet. The cat was right. Awesome.
Cat is always right.
I don't know about that. What do we got? Dataset asked, which developer tool does Cal team use? Cursor, Windsurf? I have never heard of any of these. Goes to show you how far I am from any kind of developing work. That's a fun question. Ijats asked, has someone calculated after how many years the whole Leo supply will have been burnt? Hey, we got a 1 alpha appearance. Oh, this is a good question, Cal. I assume nothing is like it's gonna just still be there. 1 alpha said, "What will happen to all the W Leo tokens and to the W Leo ETH pool?" My assumption is nothing, but you can answer that question once you're unencumbered.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Oh, we got a ton of good questions coming in out of nowhere. Amon Manga, what are you talking about? It's right there in your screenshot. It's the second to last. Hey, Leo. Oh, the icon doesn't show up. You're talking about. Oh, you're an aesthetic, aren't you? Yes. Apparently, it is not popping up, but the button works, and that's what matters. Because the cat did a live rap. Oh, and it came through pretty fast, by the way. All right, we got 124. I'm dipping in 5.5 minutes, Cal.
Yeah, that sounds
So let
good.
me know when you're ready for rapid fire questions.
Let's do it.
All right, so what do we got? Wananda asked, will content creators still earn Leo from buybacks within 7 days? I'm assuming.
Yeah, the model itself does not change. Again,
Yeah.
the 7-day window. So like we post something and 7 days later you get paid out. That model doesn't change at all.
Gotcha. I will circle back to 1 Alpha's question, and he asked what will happen with W Leo tokens and to the W Leo ETH pool.
TBA with 2.0.
All right, we got I'll repeat that one. Has someone calculated after how many years the whole Leo supply will have been burned? That would be interesting. Someone wants to go out there and have that fun.
What did he say?
He said, how many years? Has someone calculated how many years the whole Leo supply will have been burned? I would assume. I look at it different. I look at how many years until. Well, actually, yeah. Wait, no. Isn't it just all getting burnt in one shot? Like whatever's quote unquote remaining?
Say that again?
Like, so when we do the flip.
Like bridging, you're talking about?
No, like tomorrow or whatever, like when the change happens, right? Whatever the current supply of Leo is, like that's it now. That's the supply.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Gotcha.
When 2.0 goes live, that is the final supply.
So then anything else that potentially available float is basically just being burned all in one shot.
Yes.
Gotcha. So the answer to his question is tomorrow.
Wait, say what is getting burned? The float? What? I'm confused about that.
He said, has someone calculated after how many years the whole Leo supply will have been burnt? And I'm under the assumption that answer is.
Well, technically, it can never all be burnt, right? Because the burn mechanism is from bridging. So every time someone bridges between, Arbitrum, BSC, Polygon, and Hive Engine, there's like a 2%, for example, fee that gets taken. So technically, some amount in Leo needs to always be moved. Like if you take 1 million Leo and you just bridge, wrap, unwrap, a million times, you're not going to end up with zero because it's a 2% fee. So your stake will, the million will just keep getting chopped down, but it never goes to zero. You know what I mean? Because if you take 2% away from something, for a very long period of time, it doesn't actually go to zero, but it'll trend towards zero, but it won't actually be zero. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, in theory, it could be 0 one day. It was just, 1,000 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, and there is a fixed fee when you get low enough. So yeah, I mean, if you take 1 million Leo and you just keep bridging until it goes to 0, it is theoretically possible to do. Um, but yeah, it's
But kind of like Bitcoin, it's not anything I need to worry about in my lifetime.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like how the rewards for Bitcoin, uh, the block rewards, like the 21 million supply takes, I think, like 2130 or something is like when that
Yeah.
happens.
As I'm saying, everyone's like, oh, what's going to happen? There's no like blocks to be mined and new Bitcoin. And it's like, well, I'm not worried about it because I'll be long gone.
Yeah.
But then that's basically just be fees. And at that point, the price of Bitcoin will probably be high enough that the fees will make sense for, at that point, you don't even call them miners, you call them like block processors, right? To still do it because, which again is also what makes Bitcoin awesome, and which leads to is yet another thing that leads to the likelihood of the price of Bitcoin being so much higher in the future, because otherwise the system won't work. Mog is looking for the contract address for A Leo. I need to add
I
it to
actually
my
wrote,
wallet.
yeah, I actually replied and pasted it to
Oh,
him.
perfect.
Dagger 212 said you're not burning. One Alpha, I already answered that. Anything related to WLEO will be announced after 2.0. So once 2.0 is live, I wouldn't remove from the pool though until the geyser pays out, because otherwise it won't pay out to you. So anyone who's left the pool before the payout will not get it. So once 2.0 is live and in full swing, then all those things can be done. Dagger 212, you're not burning the undistributed Leo, are you? There will still be a total of 52 million or whatever the cap is. The amount of circulation will be capped as of tomorrow. What is that number again? Any undistributed Leo? Well, when Leo is distributed, it's minted and distributed. So whatever the supply of Leo is, the 52 million is like an imaginary number. Whatever the supply is when we turn inflation to 0, that is the final supply of Leo. It can never go above that. What we are actually doing is destroying the ability to mint Leo. So once this change goes live, the rewards pool can never mint more Leo. Like right now, if you take the Leo supply, just call it 30 million. If we turn off the rewards pool or turn off the inflationary part of the rewards pool, the supply will never go above 30 million. The supply increases because of the rewards pool. So once this change happens, that is the final supply. We're making this change and then destroying the ability to ever turn it back on. So that means that when the supply, like again, I keep saying 30 million. Like imagine that the day 2.0 goes live, the supply is 30 million. The rewards pool can never go back to inflationary. So the supply of Leo is 30 million, and it can never change. It can never go up. It can only go down. So and it goes down through the bridging. So the supply can never go up, and every time someone bridges, a 2% fee gets taken from their bridged amount of Leo. So again, like if it's 100,000 Leo that they bridge, 2,000 Leo gets burned. That 2,000 Leo can never re-enter the supply because it's burned. So it's burned to the null address. So it is, the supply of Leo continues to decrease.
Deflationary. Yes. I just sent 50 Leo off into the ether with my wraps. Cool. Yeah, so tomorrow, launch party, Cal, Task, likely myself, but you never know. So I feel like we're at the point where a lot of these questions are questions for tomorrow.
Yeah. Tomorrow, everything, the whole, what do we call it? We call it opening the kimono. Everything will be revealed.
All will be revealed tomorrow. So whatever
Yeah.
questions you have, come tomorrow and Cal will give you the answers.
Yeah, we answered. I mean, we did answer a lot of stuff today. I hope I gave some clarity. I mean, I know the number one question is like, okay, well, what happens in Leo? And I feel like I've said it 100 times, but I'll say it again. In Leo does not change. Everything remains the same. The only thing that's changing is where do rewards come from? It's right now it's inflation. In 2.0, it is buybacks only. So the outside of that, you upvote, you post, you thread, you blog. I saw someone ask if threads are going away. No, everything remains the same. You make shorts, all of it. Everything remains the same. You go
Yeah, the only thing
premium,
that's
you do creator
changing is
subs.
the only thing that's changing is basically the tokenomics, like the token model.
Yeah.
Everything else is the same.
Token model, exactly. Good. That's a good
So,
point. It's literally the token model's changing. Everything else remains the same. The mechanics of everything stays the same. And then
Yep.
we're moving Leo from Hive Engine to Arbitrum in terms of the
Yep.
native Leo. But again, I talked about this with Task on a Lion's Den episode a few weeks ago. Changing the native Leo to Arbitrum is essentially more just a community understanding. You know, it's kind of like a societal standard. Mechanically, nothing actually changes. We set up Leo on Arbitrum to always be capable of being native Leo. And the reason for doing that was just in case of something like this, which is what we've decided to do. So the native Leo is really on Arbitrum now. And that doesn't really change anything because it just means that if you're holding Leo on InLeo, you're now holding wrapped Leo on InLeo, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you're just holding a wrapped Leo. So when you want to go back to native, you just unwrap from wrapped Hive Engine Leo to Leo on Arbitrum, and now you're on native Leo.
It's kind of like, as the saying goes, 6 one way, half a dozen the other.
That is it's a good way of saying it. It's more just something you say, or how you feel about something. I mean, it's really, at the end of the day, it's not really any different. So,
well, as long as at the end of the day, price tracks, and it's like there's native Bitcoin, and then there's WBTC and BTCB, and I have a chunk of BTCB, so I can do the yield pools, and it's like I still call it Bitcoin, I still look at it as Bitcoin, and it's priced as Bitcoin, so it's kind of all the same.
Yeah, all the same.
No
Especially
doubt.
when the operator is just the protocol itself. I mean, the difference between like BTC and WBTC is like you've got an operator, company that's operating WBTC, which is why some people don't like it. But
True.
the difference between this is like the protocol operates these bridges, which is also why all the bridge revenue can get burned. Luis said, so Leo on Hive Engine slowly goes dead. No, that's exactly what I just said, is nothing changes. So it literally stays the same. So stays the same. It's just Hive Engine wrapped Leo. If you've got Leo on Hive Engine, it's wrapped.
You can stake your Leo on InLeo. You can stake it on Leo Dex. You have options. That's all that's changed. Is basically you're getting options. So I have a chunk of Leo powered up on InLeo, and I have a chunk of Leo that's liquid that I'll probably stake on Leo Dex. So I have exposure to both. That's just my preference. You can go one way or the other.
Yeah, it's all preference.
I like to diversify. That's what the cat does.
Yeah, well, and if you're an active, Leo user, I mean, there's definitely a reason to keep some Leo on InLeo. Even if you want the bigger yield on Leo Dex, like having some Leo on InLeo will give you more influence over the social media part of the Leo ecosystem. So there's some value there outside of yield. And I think a lot of people will choose to have some Leo powered up, strictly for more influence. So, and it's a self-balancing system. If less people stake on InLeo and more people stake on Leo Dex, then the APRs will slowly even out. So yeah, the tokenomics are aligning.
Cool. All right. Well, the bottom line is all will be revealed tomorrow.
Yeah.
All the questions can be answered. I am just as curious as everyone else because I know as much as you do. So noon tomorrow Eastern, be there or don't get answers to your questions. Either way, fun time. Cat needs to go like a half hour ago. So
all right, let's get out of here. Thanks, Mitch. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Set your reminders for Wednesday, tomorrow, noon Eastern. That is Leo 2.0 unveil. Going to be the biggest event we've ever done, biggest launch we've ever done. most changes we've ever made in one shot. So be there or be square and be out of the loop. And we'll see you guys tomorrow, noon Eastern. Peace.
Rock and roll. Later.